watching? Hello, welcome to Who's Watching. So, as you may have noticed, just me today, I'm afraid. Unfortunately, Jordan can't be here today because he's got a slight medical, I don't want to say emergency, it's nothing major, but he might need stitches. Sounds way more dramatic than it is. He's cut his hand. Before I start, you may have noticed that after saying we're only going to release one video in January, here's another one. Current plan is just to do one of these videos, one of these sort of review, it's not quite a review, just sort of thoughts I guess is closer, for each episode of the series. Jordan said first, it was an episode with some interesting ideas and a great concept, but it failed somewhere in the execution. I felt that being thrown right into the action was a little disorientating and everything went wrong a little too quickly. So I'm just going to stop there a second and say that I strongly disagree with that point. I know that the general consensus seems to be about 50-50 on this episode. I really enjoyed it, which I'm sure you'll figure out from all my other points, spoiler there, but I really appreciated the fact it just started. I feel like it actually helped the episode. The episode sort of flopped about a little bit, but I felt it was more focused because it just went straight in. Sort of they turn up, they get, hits the fan immediately, and that's it. And I thought that was really, really good. Really helped streamline it. He said, also the global warming message should have been a part of the plot all the way through, not just tacked on at the end. I'll come to my thoughts on the global warming thing when I read mine, but basically at the end I thought was a little bit preachy, but personally I didn't care too much that it was. A lot that comes to, so the Doctor has a line about the human race is arguing about who's doing the washing whilst the house burns down. When the message at the end was about that, I thought, great. Also, just going to get this out of the way, Doctor Who has always been political, the BBC is meant to entertain and inform, that's part of their job, that's what they're there for, that's what that was doing. I feel like it was good to be a twist at the end, even if you may have figured it out a little bit earlier. I figured it out a little bit beforehand, but the end was a little bit preachy. It went on a little bit too long, but I liked the fact it was a plot twist at the end per se and not just beat through the whole thing. I feel like it would have felt even more preachy then, but we're all entitled to our own opinions. That's mine against Jordan's there. There were a few characters like the old couple, again reading from Jordan's, who were there, just there, and contributed nothing to the story. And I didn't like the mother/daughter plot either. But Graham was funny and great as always. The dregs were a great monster and reminded me of a mix between a xenomorph and a future predator from Primeval. I thought they reminded me a bit of the creature from that Series 2 episode Love and Monster, which people love so much. We might do a video on that at some point. But I thought it looked a bit like an albino one of them. Jordan sums up by saying it was a fun run around, but a story that ultimately went nowhere, but it was fun nonetheless. So that's Jordan's views on Orphan 55. Now let's get to mine. So like I said, I just sort of commented a stream of consciousness, and I'm going to more or less read you out what I put, and then summarise my main thoughts on the whole episode. If I babble on for too much, you'll notice because it will just jump. Anyway, so I wrote, and this is the order I wrote all these things in, Hopper. Lol. I thought the Hopper was quite funny. It reminded me of something you'd find in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And for those of you who don't know me, if I say something reminds me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that's a massive compliment, because it's one of the best books ever. But yeah, it reminded me of something you'd get from that. I thought the Hopper was a great sort of little something or other to get the Doctor into the complaining. I'm so happy to see the second paperback. That's my second point. I thought it was great. And then just Jodie Whittaker's starts straight away with the quips, "Will I have to bark at you?" That made me laugh. I didn't like the furry thing, just as a general note there. I'm going to put my complaint. I didn't like it, didn't care for it. I was happy when it died. I'm sorry, but that was my thought on that. The build-up I thought was good, didn't take too long, just went into it. If I had crayons and a tin of Spam, I could build you from scratch. I thought was hilarious. We're starting to get a little bit more of a darker side from the 13th Doctor, and I love it. It's brilliant. It's what I thought her Doctor should have been like from the first episode, so I'm happy to see that, and in my opinion, I think what I said was right, because it was far more entertaining than some of the episodes we got in the first series. Yet again, my opinion. She had so many great quips. Some of these points I wrote down were just the quips I liked. The old couple. So, I wrote sweet old couple, and I just wrote that by the bit when they were by the pool. When I watched it longer, I do feel like they were a little bit superfluous, but were there specifically for reasons. Like, the beats, I mean, not... They were there for stuff like with the, "Oh, will you marry me?" and then, "Will you kill me?" bit. I get what they were going for, and I do think it fell a bit flat, but my thoughts were great. That's my thought on that. The drugs are pretty cool. I liked the design of them, I liked the concept, and I liked the reveal later that they are us. That was all good. So when they got all of the oxygen things, I thought one of them was going to break. That's what I wrote down. I said, whose is going to break? I thought it was going to be a sacrifice moment like that. We didn't get that sacrifice moment, but we got two moments of someone being like, "I'll distract them, you run away." Personally, I thought it would have been better if one of those instead was a swap of oxygen thing. Instead, both of those story beats, those sort of moments, just fell for me. They didn't sort of go anywhere. I didn't feel anything, just that happened. I also wrote here, Jodie is proving to me that my dislikes of the last series were direction and not her. I think she was fantastic in this episode. I thought she was brilliant. Put 12th Doctor, Queen of Cockblock, for the bit where she sits between Ryan and that other girl. I thought that was quite funny. Again, the jokes landed more for me in this episode. I don't know why it is, I don't know if that's just me. Lights changed, sorry, I noticed it was a bit dark. Oh, yeah, the jokes landed for me in this episode was basically a conclusion I can make there. I didn't hate Ryan this episode. What's happening? 2 episodes in a row where I didn't hate Ryan. Well done. That's all I can say on that one. I felt like he had a reason to be there. He was doing something. Yet again, I feel like they're not using Yaz. Give her something to do. She's meant to be a police officer. Make her useful. Because so far she's becoming the spare. Last series it was Ryan. This series is Yaz, and Yaz a little bit last series as well, but you're not using her. If you're not going to use these characters, don't have them, which was a lot of people's fear of the crowded TARDIS, and that's what's happening again. I liked the planet. I liked Orphan 55 itself. The location, for me, reminded me of Classic Who. It reminded me of, like, classic Who, not classic modern Who, which some people now call that. But, yeah, classic, running along a quarry, that sort of thing. I thought it was just quite nice to see. It was nostalgic in a way. Bella being the badass lady's daughter, I will admit I didn't see it coming. Not sure whether that's a good thing or not though. At the end of the day, I think this episode was just a fun run around, so all these bits like that, they didn't bother me personally. I wasn't blown away by them, like I think the idea was, but it didn't bug me, didn't bother me at all. Yet again, the Doctor's one-liner, whatever happened to good old-fashioned passive aggression. I thought that was brilliant. Funny line, made me laugh. I liked the speed that things started getting worse. Although at the beginning it just got worse, boom, straight away. The rest of it felt like it was organically piled on, if that makes sense. Sometimes, especially in a Chibnall episode, it seems to have had in the past, that just out of nowhere, and now here's another problem without too much justification. Just normally it felt a bit shoehorned in, but I felt like each level of escalation worked well for me. The reveal of it being Earth, I liked. I know a few people might not be so keen on the way it happened, but I liked it. I also really liked the reverse breathing thing. So they were breathing in the carbon dioxide and breathing out oxygen. I thought was interesting. I'm not quite sure why, as an evolutionary thing, humans would become, start doing that. But I really liked the reveal with the oxygen thing that the Doctor was wearing, and how that's how she found that out. I thought that was quite clever, and I think that was the reason they had them, not so that they could build a story beat later with one breaking, which surprised me slightly. Why is the sentence "sleep standing up" quite so terrifying as a thing? I don't feel like they used it quite as well as they should have. I thought you would have seen them going through like a proper nest of them, like you see Jack doing in Torchwood with the Weevils, when he's going for the second gauntlet. If you've not seen that, then pointless reference. But I was expecting something more akin to that. So I was a little disappointed that we didn't see the actually going through that, but I did like the use of that as a scary sentence. I spoke to Will briefly the other day, and he said that apparently Jordan disagrees with me on this point. He thought the kid was good. That kid. For the rest of the story, he was alright, but he has a little bit of a hissy fit and runs outside where all the dregs are. Firm Doctor put there. I liked that. Doctor, put her foot down and told people off and things in this episode, like she should have done interacting to the UK, but didn't. So it was good. It's good to see Jodie Whittaker get something she can really play with, dig her teeth into, explore. She's a very talented actress, and I feel like she was a little bit wasted in the first series as a performer, and I feel like she's doing so well this series, so I hope that continues on that trajectory. She used the Sonic once. Yet again, like last time, one Sonic use. I feel like that is a great writing rule for them going forward, until they learn to be sparing with it. I feel like it's good. Use it once an episode. That's a great writing rule. I feel like they should have written on all of the walls in the Doctor Who area of the BBC, Sonic once. That would be great. Hope to see that trend continue as well. So, at the end, the lady who built the hotel and stuff comes back for what's meant to be a heartwarming moment of reuniting and whatever. All I was thinking was, she should be dead. No forgiveness for that reveal for me there. I just didn't care. I was just like, that broke it for me a little bit. I know it's a show in space and time and all of that jazz, but kind of broke my immersion a little bit there when it was like, oh yeah, there she is, she's fine. And so those are my thoughts. Didn't really give Graham enough to do in that episode, but he was there and he was charming as always. The old couple should have been an emotional centre in the story, but they very much weren't. The girl who Ryan was trying to chat up, she was an interesting character, I guess, but the fact I have to finish that with "I guess" doesn't mean the best. And I didn't like the reveal because it didn't feel earned that they were related. There were no clues, or at least maybe there were that I didn't pick up on. Please feel free to tell me if there were any, but just kind of came out of nowhere in my opinion. And but overall, fun run around. I enjoyed it. It didn't not every episode has to be a great thinker, although that had an ending that should make you think, I hope. And I only have one other pet peeve I haven't mentioned actually. Why didn't they just get the TARDIS, go back, pick the two of them up? When they teleport away, they just leave them there. You've got a time machine. They didn't see them die. We know they definitely did, but we didn't see that, so they could have saved them, and they don't. But yeah, it was a fun run around, and Jay from Between Us was good. I know he's done other things, but unfortunately that's just one of those roles where lots of people, including myself, will just always think of you as that. But he was good. I didn't, although I was aware, obviously, because it's him, I wasn't the whole time thinking, it's Jay! So that's nice. Just, it's bizarre to me that they're getting so many sort of celeb cameos, I guess they're meant to be, like with Stephen Fry as well, and they're not giving them a lot to do. It was the same sort of last year, like when they had Lee Mack, killed him off early. So I don't know if they're trying to go with... That's two killing off early, so I don't know if they're trying to go with this whole rug pull thing, but it didn't really work. And, you know, Jay was in this one, and he didn't do a lot either. Maybe it would have been better with more focus. Certainly, but yeah, again, it was fun. I had fun. I enjoyed it. So, hopefully, you've enjoyed my ramblings, and it's not too long. Like I said, hopefully Will cut me down if I go on for too long. And also, please let us know what you think of it. Hopefully it wasn't too bad just me being here. I hope I'll have someone else with me next week. Thank you, and subscribe.